The Tonhalle Concert Hall in Düsseldorf. The Jubilee concert taking place here is one of the highlights of the 2-week-long Robert Schumann Festival. Christoph Eschenbach is conducting the Düsseldorf Symphony Orchestra as they play Schumann's Symphony No. 2.
It's a perfect piece of music. All these theories about how Schumann's instrumentation was no good and had to be reworked are nonsense. You can see with this piece how very clever he was as a composer.
The virtuoso Palestinian-Israeli pianist Salim Abu Dashkar was born in Nazareth. Now 34, he made his debut at Carnegie Hall in New York at the age of 22. He says he's loved Schumann all his life.
I was very young when I discovered Schumann. I began with his scenes from childhood, of course. But when I was 13, I started playing his piano concerto, which isn't really for children, tackling it, as it were.
Robert Schumann came to Düsseldorf in 1850. The family's last home in the city has been preserved as a memorial site. Robert and Clara Schumann and their 7 children lived on 2 floors of this house. A third of Schumann's works were composed during the 4 years he spent in Düsseldorf, working as municipal music director. But his happiness at finally finding a permanent job was tainted by problems with musicians.
His predecessors had the same problem because the orchestra wasn't a professional one. They were amateur musicians. Sensitive souls and composers like Schumann, or 20 years earlier Mendelssohn, just didn't mesh with these amateurs, who included military musicians among their ranks. They had completely different ways of working. They wanted to rehearse during rehearsals, but the musicians preferred to chat and drink beer before getting down to the work of singing and playing.
Schumann's problems with the musicians were exacerbated by a long-term nervous condition.
His illness began to affect his private life more and more. It got worse and worse until he started experiencing acute hallucinations. Finally, in February 1854, he attempted suicide.
Robert Schumann jumped from a bridge over the Rhine River. He was rescued from the water, but then admitted to a psychiatric institution near the city of Bonn. He died there 2 years later. Many of his works reveal nothing of Schumann's depression.
It's a very interesting phenomenon with composers. Suddenly, in a period where he had his first big phase of depression, he composes this very bright piece in C major. I think it was an attempt to rescue himself into a more healthy sphere.
Unlike many of his contemporaries, Schumann has never been forgotten. Now, as always, his works are part of the repertoire of all the great international orchestras.